That new Bivy smell. This is an insanely light Bivy. Hey guys, I'm Songbird, and today I'm going to talk to you about one of my favorite pieces of gear, the Bivy Sack. Bivy sacks are an awesome shelter component that give a heck of a lot of protection for their weight. Often used with a smaller tarp, Bivy sacks offer you the ability to lay down and get a good night's rest almost anywhere you can fit. Waking up in a Bivy sack, especially on a morning where you were able to cowboy camp the night before, meaning that you could just sleep out in the open, gives me this awesome feeling of waking up in the woods, instead of when I wake up inside of a tent or a more confined shelter, feeling like, oh, I woke up in a tent. After getting used to it, I actually prefer to sleep out more in the open. When I hear something that concerns me at night, I can flick on my flashlight and I can check around camp instantly. I've talked about this with one of my buddies on trail, and he always agreed with me. It almost makes it scarier to know that you have to unzip everything to get out of your tent in order to check and see what the noise was. It took me a little while to get used to sleeping in a bivvy, especially with a small poncho tarp. What really ended up doing it for me is the realization that my little tent isn't really protecting me from anything that wants to mess with me. Bivvies come in a variety of styles and levels of protection. So I'm going to show you guys some of the bivvies that I own and tell you what I like about it. First bivvy I ever bought was an REI minimalist bivvy from the REI garage online. I ended up finding it for like 65 bucks used, and this thing has been great for me. As my first bivvy sack, it offered me a lot of protection that helped me stay safe when I was getting used to learning how to use a smaller tarp and bivvy combination. Weighing in at a pretty respectable 14 ounces. As you can see, this bivvy packs down fairly small. Now for what it is, this bivvy is actually kind of on the heavier side. It's made of a more waterproof material, and when it came to me, it was closer to a pound in weight, but I ended up snipping a lot of the extra zippers and taking off a lot of zipper pulls with side snips. The underside of the bivvy is a fully waterproof material. Part of the reason this bivvy is so heavy is that the materials that are used are very durable construction. Just holding this thing in the hands, you know that it's going to hold up to a lot of abuse, and I've never had a problem using it on rocks or on any kind of uneven, broken ground. I'm very confident that with a bivvy this thick on the bottom, I'm not going to have any problems with holes getting punched in my sleeping pad during the night. One thing that I really like about this waterproof breathable bivvy from REI is that they've taken the waterproof fabric and come up around the foot box a little bit. You get a little bit more protection in the foot box on the sides, and at the very end of the foot box, you get a lot of protection that you wouldn't otherwise have, where your feet tend to brush up against the end of your shelter. This is really nice when you have condensation building up on the inside of a single wall tent. The top of this bivvy sack is made of a waterproof breathable material, and the zippers extend down to about your hips on either side when you're laying down inside of it. These flaps, kind of like storm flaps, cover up the zippers on the sides. So if you have wind-blown rain coming in underneath your tarp, you don't have to worry about water coming in through the seams and where the zippers aren't waterproof. This flap though ends when it gets up to the face shield area of the bivvy. This bivvy sack uses a half-moon mesh window. This is a really fine but durable mesh that I haven't had any problems with snags or holes being formed inside of. Unfortunately, in temperatures warmer than 45 degrees, this half-moon mesh window isn't usually enough to really keep the bag ventilated. And I have to unzip the bag, decreasing the amount of protection it gives me to make sure that I'm not too hot and stuffy. A waterproof breathable bivvy like this one is probably always going to be a little on the heavier side for bivvies, but you can get a Cuban fiber bivvy, which would cut down significantly on the weight and will probably even perform better in terms of waterproofness. Bivvies that are waterproof or waterproof breathable are going to be best for the much colder months, where getting wet means that you're going to have a very uncomfortable and even dangerous night. A waterproof or waterproof breathable bivvy like this one is a great option on a shorter day hike if you want to carry something just in case you need to emergency biovac. Not just for overnights, bivvies are a great backup shelter and give you a lot of peace of mind knowing that you can shelter in place if you absolutely need to. If you're just going to be day hiking and you want to carry something with you, a lighter option than the waterproof breathable might be a bivvy sack made of mylar. I think a lot of those bivvies are called escape bivvies or mylar emergency bivvies, but those would be a good option and very small and packable to keep with you in your backpack just in case. A waterproof breathable or waterproof bivvy like this one is really going to increase your sleeping comfort in windy conditions, and these bivvy sacks will actually add a couple degrees to the warmth of your sleep system. I've found that anything above 45 degrees or so, I start to get a little too hot in this waterproof breathable bivvy, and I've come to the conclusion that this is probably best used as a winter or winter mix cold season bivvy. I'm okay with just using this as a winter bivvy from now on, because I ended up getting into this bivvy for a really good price. Now, after using a bivvy for a couple months on trail, I know exactly what I want out of a bivvy, and that let me make a better choice when I went and spent money on the final product that I bought. The night that solidified what features I wanted from my next bivvy is what I think of as the Mosquito Net story. I actually got trapped inside of this bivvy for hours. We were in Great Barrington, Massachusetts, and I was spending my last night on the trail before I hopped off to head home, and the weather had gotten up into the 50s and it was just so much warmer. Unfortunately though, I wasn't able to unzip this bivvy and enjoy those milder temperatures. I had to zip this thing up fully so these huge mosquitoes wouldn't just keep constantly attacking my face. It was so bad that you could see the mosquitoes in like a curtain moving through the woods. Using my inflatable sleeping pad inside of this mummy cut bivvy meant that I didn't really have a lot of extra room in it. And I wasn't able to tent this half moon away from my face very much, which meant that the mosquitoes were able to still bite me through it. I ended up having to take my hat and kind of put it on my face to keep the mosquitoes from biting me, which only added to the misery of being trapped inside of a waterproof, breathable sleeping bag in the 50s. I ended up passing out eventually and the mosquito pressure stopped later, but that was not a fun night. Enter my Borogear side sit bivvy. At 149 grams, which rounds out to about 5.26 ounces, this is an insanely light bivvy. I've lost over half my bivvy's weight for this upgrade. This bivvy sack is lighter and roomier and with a bigger piece of mesh. But how do you get more fabric and less weight? The answer is pretty simple. Thinner and, yes, more fragile fabrics are used in its construction. This bivvy makes use of argon fabric, which isn't really waterproof. It makes use of a tight fiber weave and a DWR coating that helps it resist moisture. So this is what I call a water-resistant fabric. The bottom of this bivvy, though, is still fully waterproof, and it makes use of a thin sil nylon fabric to protect you from the wet and dirty ground. The protection of a fully waterproof bivvy was really nice to have, but I always thought that it was kind of overkill, except in the coldest, most wintry mix-like conditions. This bivvy is great because it's more like using just a ground sheet with a little added spray and wind protection, and loads of bug protection. One of the great things about this bivvy is that while it's tapered a little bit, the foot end is basically going to be the same width as the head end of the bivvy. But if the goal is to be lightweight, why not cut out all the extra stuff and just have this bottom panel using a normal ground sheet? The bottom of this, the ground sheet by itself, would in fact be lighter. But the bigger tarp that I would have to carry to cover it on the wettest nights, and probably having to carry a dedicated rain jacket, since that bigger tarp probably wouldn't be a wearable poncho, means that my kit would weigh more as a whole. Once I'm sure that the weather is warm enough, I have the ability to send my dedicated rain gear home, and it's always nice to have the option of not carrying that extra weight. Perhaps more importantly, with some tarp pitches, you can get enough coverage to use even the smallest tarps and be adequately protected from rain, though these extreme pitches kind of take away from the benefits of using a tarp in the first place. You still have to think about dealing with pests. Mosquitoes can be dealt with by just wearing a head net. If you're able to stay fully inside of a mummy sleeping bag, only your face will be exposed, and tenting out the fabric of that head net means that you're bug proof. But it can really wear people down not having a larger protected space away from that bug pressure. But as you probably know, mosquitoes aren't the only pests that you're going to be dealing with on the trail. The main reason that I won't just use a ground sheet by itself is ticks, not to mention the other creepy crawlies that can get into your sleep system during the night. Being fully enclosed in the impenetrable fortress that is a lightweight bivy sack gives me a lot of confidence that I'm not going to have any unwelcome visitors during the night. Ticks, snakes, and other creepy crawlies aren't going to be snuggling with me in the morning. My favorite thing about this new bivy sack is probably the amount of real estate I get inside of it. I really liked using my first waterproof breathable bivy, but it was pretty tight where it tapered down at the legs. That bivy has a mummy cut, like a mummy sleeping bag, and as a result has caused a lot of problems for me as a side sleeper, just like a mummy sleeping bag tends to. Mainly, it feels really tight around the knees when I try to sleep on my side and bring my knees up closer to my chest. That's something that I got used to on the AT this last season, but with the new rectangular shaped bivy, I'm going to have leg freedom. Coupled with my poncho quilt that I'm bringing this summer, which I go over in another video, I'm excited to say that I think I'll be quite comfortable in this new bivy. Lastly, I think that with the use of this argon fabric on the top, the water-resistant Borogear bivy is going to be a lot more breathable for me, and I think I'm going to be a lot less likely to have condensation issues like I did with the waterproof breathable bivy. As you saw a second ago, this huge bug mesh window comes down to about my pecs, and it's also going to go a long way towards increasing the breathability of this lightweight shelter component. I haven't really needed to in the past, but having the ability to tent this extra hood of fabric away from my face is going to give me a little bit more livable space to hang out inside of, especially if I'm trapped inside of my shelter for some reason for a while. Well guys, that's all I have for bivvies. Since it's like a miniature cocoon for your sleeping bag, it's really not very much to go over. There are larger freestanding fully enclosed bivvies that you can get. Those freestanding fully enclosed bivvies are going to weigh a lot more, and really the way I think about it is that you might as well have a tent at that point. Mainly I would be worried about losing that being outside experience of having a poncho tarp in a bivvy. If you haven't already, I hope you give bivy sacks and small tarps a chance. They can really do a lot to bring your pack weight down and help you enjoy your time on trail. Thank you guys for watching the video. I hope you liked it. Like and subscribe, and we'll see you in the next video. Especially on mornings where you haven't had to... Are you done, Fred?